Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
Tonight on News Hour, reactions trail presidential broadcast on Naira circulation extension. Independent National Electoral Commission sensitizes visually impaired on Braille ballot voting. Security agencies deploy 400,000 men for elections. Away from Nigeria, death toll from Turkey-Syria earthquakes rises to 42,000. 17-year-old rescued from rubble after 248 hours. Hello and welcome to the News Hour on Trust Television. I am Ayuba Ilya. And now the details. The directive by President Muhammadu Buhari that the circulation of the old 200 Naira notes be extended till April 10th is generating reactions from Nigerian citizens. President Buhari in a broadcast said old 500 and 1,000 Naira are redeemable at the Central Bank of Nigeria. A Kaduna-based legal practitioner, Abubakar Abdul Zabair, said that the president's proclamation contravenes order of the Supreme Court, which recognizes the old Naira notes as legal tender pending determination of a suit before it. Noel Samson speaks to Abuja residents on the development.
President Muhammadu Buhari in his broadcast acknowledged the fact that the matter is before the law courts and pronouncement made, and that his administration respects the rule of law.
I have given approval to the CBN that the old 200 Naira banknotes be released back into circulation, and that it should also be allowed to circulate as legal tender with the new 200 Naira, 500 Naira, and 1,000 Naira banknotes for 60 days from February 10th, 2023 to April 10th, 2023, when the old 200 Naira notes ceases to be legal tender.
However, a lawyer said what the president did amount to contravention of an order of the Supreme Court.
My own view is that President Muhammadu Buhari has contravened the position of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. And I think because of his immunity, the Supreme Court should go against the Attorney General of the Federation and cite him for contempt and ask the question why they should not be cited or taken to prison for contempt because of the flouting of that order by the Supreme Court of Nigeria.
Some Abuja residents expressed mixed feelings on the pronouncement.
Old, new, it's not our problem now. But since that's the way he wants it, I don't have any problem. Let just everything continue flowing.
200 Naira can be used for last 60 days. I think I like that.
The main take home is that the 200 Naira will be in circulation or will be accepted for another 60 days period. And I think that's good. It will alleviate the problem, the situation at hand.
Our advice to the government is that whenever you want to do something, even in your family, you need to prepare step 1, step 2.
It's uncalled for. President just want to suffer Nigeria. He want to suffer us because what of our people in the village? I want to send something to my people now. This Naira now, to buy 5,000, you 3,000, buy 5,000 in Nigeria now. That's what I do this morning.
I want to appeal to everyone that let's be calm. There's nothing that has begun that does not have an end. All these protests, destruction here and there should be stopped. Most of we are approaching election. All that we advise everybody is that hold your PVC.
The resident, however, appealed to the federal government to act fast to ease the sufferings of the people by making the banknotes available. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje says Naira redesign policy is a plot to scuttle the 2023 election, pledging that if APC wins the election, the policy will be reversed. Speaking in Hausa in an audio recording, the governor faulted timing of the policy, querying the implementation of the policy few days to the election and not in the past 7.5 years. Ganduje said multilateral institutions like IMF, World Bank and many others have kicked against the policy but were ignored. To save the nation's democracy, the governor said that they decided to approach the court for redress. Governor Ganduje said that the policy has impacted negatively on the poor. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, says that he has met with 15 bank executives and directed them to make the old 200 naira notes available from Thursday. He made this known after attending a meeting between President Muhammadu Buhari and the House of Representatives Special Ad Hoc Committee on Naira Redesign Policy, Cashless Policy, and the Currency Swap on Thursday. In a chat with State House correspondents, Emefiele, who described himself as a servant, appealed to Nigerians to allow the policy to work because he believes it will bring advancement to the nation's economy when the challenge of illicit financial flows and insecurity is resolved.
Well, the truth is this, we are all servants. We are serving Nigerians. As far as I'm concerned, the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation has spoken on this matter, and the President has sealed the whole of the issues this morning in his broadcast. And I think I can only just appeal to Nigerians, let's allow this policy to work. This policy is one policy that goes to solve the problem of reducing corruption and illicit financial flows. This policy goes to resolve some of the problems in the economy. This policy also goes to reducing the level of insecurity in the country. So these three issues, which are the tripod of this administration's policy, are all embedded in this policy. We should just allow it to work. We keep saying this. There are some temporary pains, but I can assure Nigerians that the long-run benefit to Nigeria is overwhelming, and we should just give it a chance to work. The President has given his directives. I have met with about 15 banks this morning later, and we've given them directives about how they should make all the old 200 naira notes available effective today. And I can assure Nigerians that this will help to reduce the pains. We meet with the bankers at least once daily to get feedback and the rest of them. And I think we should just allow this policy work. The pains, temporary pains, are regrettable, but I can assure Nigerians that it will be well.
Meanwhile, Kaduna residents have expressed displeasure with the ongoing cash deposit processes at the central bank in the state, as most customers were unable to deposit or swap their old notes. The customers said that the money swap process was frustrating as the bank took details of the customers and not the money. The report.
In order to meet up with the deadline of the All Naira note, customers in numbers trooped to the Apex Bank to deposit their All Naira note. However, the customers said the bank officials were only taking details about them rather than the money for deposit.
I am here in the CBN. What they just told us to do, they say we should write our name, our phone number, and the bank. Then we will now sign. Then we will now be going. Then it's the next day that they are going to call us.
Because I came around 7 o'clock this morning, and the people that they came since yesterday, we are still together with them, and they are yet to deposit their money.
On the other hand, some traders and buyers in Kaduna market do not accept the All Naira note due to fear of losing their money after the deadline, thereby affecting business activities in the state.
We as a marketer, we are finding it so difficult. Somebody come to buy my shoe now, he has owed money and I can't collect, because if I collect it, it will remain in my hand. So automatically, and the transfer service is not going. Like this yesterday, they sent me a text message about my school, my children. They said they don't receive cash, and I have owed money. If I take to the bank, they won't give me new one. If you want to request it for 20, they only give you 5,000. So 5,000, what will you do with 5,000? A family man.
My brother, they don't give you collector for my hand. Since the money, why Kasakaya, nobody. They don't come, they don't get new money. All of them are old money they carry. And me, man, know they collect. Where I go by, they don't give you collector for my hand.
I'm about to buy something. I came with old money, but they refuse to receive the old money. Everybody is talking about new money, and the cash is not there. So I don't know what to do.
It's not moving at all. It has stopped. All we just do is that when customers come and buy something from our neighbor's shop, we went there and make withdraw and transfer to the owner of the shop.
They therefore call on the government and the CBN to look at the plight of Nigerians and come up with an amicable solution. Bello Musa, Trust TV News Kaduna.
Conference of Northern States Civil Society Organizations has faulted implementation of the Naira redesign policy, saying that the policy is grossly ineffective, thereby threatening the nation's economy and successful conduct of the forthcoming elections. Addressing a news conference in Kano, the coalition asked the Central Bank of Nigeria to, as a matter of urgency, ensure the availability of the newly redesigned banknotes to avoid total collapse of the economy. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin reports that the group is also calling on the Inspector General of Police to be decisive in the fight against insecurity in Nigeria.
According to this Conference of Northern Civil Society, although the new Naira redesign is a good policy that may likely control the high rate of inflation, but the CBN commitment toward public awareness and effective implementation of the policy is very poor.
The scarcity of the Naira redesign note is not only responsible for a continuous downfall of business owners, especially the small-scale and medium business enterprises, but the situation is also threatening the conduct of peaceful, credible, and acceptable 2023 general elections in Nigeria. We appreciate the giant stride made by the President, Muhammadu Buhari, on his stance on the new Naira redesign policy to ameliorate the suffering of Nigerians by extending the use of 200 Naira note to April 10th, 2023. In addition, we call on the federal government of Nigeria to direct CBN to make available the lower Naira denominations such as 5 Naira, 10 Naira, 20 Naira, and 100 Naira.
On the issue of the forthcoming elections, the network urged the Independent National Electoral Commission to be more proactive in ensuring free and fair election, while security operatives are to ensure peaceful election process.
It has come to our notice that there are some alleged pressure from some quarters on INEC leadership to have the elections postponed. It is our candid opinion that nothing is worth the service to the country than such evil thoughts and imagination. It is our adamant belief that the leadership of INEC would not contemplate doing that or succumb to any pressure to tamper with the integrity of the commission. Let also remind the INEC chairman that all eyes are on him and the Nigerian citizens hold INEC in high esteem.
While the group passed a vote of confidence on Nigeria's anti-corruption agency, the networks called on the federal government to ignore calls for the sack of the EFCC chairman.
We wish to categorically state that as members of the Conference of Northern State Civil Society Networks from the 19 Northern and FCT passed a vote of confidence on the leadership of Abdurrashid Bawa of the EFCC and shall continue to support the Commission in the discharge of its constitutional mandate.
While urging Nigerians to continue to be law-abiding in the face of the current difficulties associated with the nation's economy, the group assures to continue with its campaign of ensuring a better Nigeria. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
Residents of Jos, the Plateau State capital, have expressed joy over President Buhari's directives to allow the old 200 Naira note to be circulated as legal tender. President Muhammadu Buhari had on Thursday morning in his nationwide speech directed the Central Bank of Nigeria to release the old 200 notes back into circulation and as legal tender with the new 200, 500 and 1,000 banknotes for another 60 days. Ado Musa completes the story.
Soon after the president's approval to allow all 200 Naira notes as legal tender, many Jos residents have been rushing from one POS operator to the other in search of the old 200 Naira for their daily needs. Some of the residents who spoke to Trust TV said they were happy with the development, saying life hasn't been easy since the introduction of the redesigned Naira notes policy. The release of the old 200 Naira notes back into circulation is a good development. We are happy that we can now use it. It will go a long way in helping us address some things. When the president made the pronouncement, we were happy because it will ease the difficulties, even though that is not enough. The president should do more to get us out of this suffering.
Well, I think I feel okay. At least they would have, considered the other two as legal tender for the more for some time. Because as it is, I think this thing has taken some people unawares.
Despite President Buhari's directive to release the old 200 naira notes and circulate as legal tender, the shortage of the note will continue to hit thousands of people who may need them for their daily needs. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Now, joining me in the studio to discuss the legal implication of the Naira extension is Victor Giwa, a lawyer and national coordinator of the People's Rights and Justice. Thank you so much for joining us on the News Hour tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, quite a lot of debate has, followed this extension and the president's speech earlier today. Does the pronouncement by the president extending the circulation of the old 200 naira note constitute, some kind of a contravention of the Supreme Court order, in your opinion?
Well, that's a very serious question. Anyway, well, the order of the Supreme Court, telling or requesting, ordering the federal government to stay action on the implementation of the February 10th deadline, was given by a motion ex parte, which is supposed to, live up to just 7 days because it's a motion ex parte. The lifespan of a motion ex parte is 7 days, subject to review or extension as might be requested by the plaintiff, the claimant, as the case might be. I think what the president did was to say that, well, the 200 naira note is still extant, is still a legal tender until April 10th. Now, but whether that is a violation of the order of the Supreme Court, I will not say whether yes or no. It depends on what is the language, what is the letters of the order. I have not had the privilege of seeing the order. I've not had the privilege of studying that order. But as it stands, February 10th is not. Today is about 6 days away from February 10th, and as at the day the federal government made today that the president made that declaration, based on the language of the CBN, those currencies are no longer, legal tender. So I cannot really say whether the statement made by the federal government or by the president amounts to a violation of the order of the Supreme Court.
Well, there are lawyers who believe that this is a contravention of the order by the Supreme Court, even going ahead to even call for the arrest of the Attorney General, since the president cannot be charged for contempt since he enjoys immunity. Some are saying that perhaps the Attorney General should be charged for contempt. What do you say to that?
Well, it is the duty of the Attorney General to inform the president about positive orders of the court. But I'm also aware that the Attorney General has also challenged the jurisdiction of the court to entertain that suit in the first place. And when a party is challenging the jurisdiction of the court, I don't think it is not appropriate for you to talk about contempt of an order of court whose jurisdiction has been challenged. If the court finds that, for example, it has no jurisdiction to have entertained that suit, what happens to the order? It means that the order falls on its face. And if you could remember, amongst the 36 states of the Federation, including and the FCT, only 3 states, as at the time that order was given, Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara states, that went to court. There's the issue of locus. The question is whether as at the time that suit was instituted and that order was given ex parte, if the court has jurisdiction to have entertained that suit and to have given that order. And if the court finds that it does not have the jurisdiction, the issue of contempt against the federal government, like argued or posited by some lawyers, will not hold water, because you cannot build something on nothing. It will crash.
There are those who are also saying that the people filing these suits, for instance, the governors of Kogi, Kaduna and Zamfara, do not have the legal standing or justification really to call for implementation of the order, given the fact that they themselves at some point have flouted court orders in some ways. So it's kind of like, some are saying, well, it's kind of a case where people are getting to choose what court order to obey and which not to obey and the likes.
Yeah,
what do you
first,
take?
Before I actually attend to that question and that point you made, I think I need to state this, that firstly, every court order, every positive court order must be obeyed until it is set aside by, court of superior jurisdiction, or the court itself sets the order aside. That is one. Then two, it is also sad that in Nigeria, everybody, and for any reason, they go to court. If a woman refuses to sleep if a wife refuses to sleep with her husband, the husband will go to court asking for an injunction for the wife to sleep with him. If a father cannot pay the school fees of his son, of his children, the children will go to court and ask the court to order the father to pay, forgetting the fact that it is the fact that the father does not have the money. So everybody just goes to court. Now, the reason why I'm making this point is that some of these issues are matters that shouldn't have been in the court in the first place. They should have exploited other administrative means. And like we have found ourselves, Nigerians don't even know what to follow. Is it the Supreme Court order? Is it the central bank position? And so there is a lot of confusion.
We also have governors giving directives for arrest of people who reject the old.
Yes, following the Supreme Court order. And I was in a particular forum like this, and I asked them that if you are going to meet the petty traders in the market who are rejecting the old Naira notes, are you going to go there with the Supreme Court order to say, oh, this is the Supreme Court order, and you are telling the man who sells meat, you are telling the woman who sells tomato that there's a Supreme Court order, the woman in Newi, the woman in Egoho in Edo State, that there's a Supreme Court order in Abuja that says you should collect this money. I don't know how it sounds. This is to show that you cannot litigate everything. But the whole thing, I think, is that Nigerians should know that policies of government are meant to stay, and that before you go to court, you should explore all avenues. The court should be a final arbiter and should not be a first port of contact.
All right, thank you so much. Victor Giwa, lawyer and national coordinator of the People's Right and Justice. Thank you for joining us on the News Hour tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, now, in a similar vein, Lagosians have expressed mixed feelings with the announcement by President Muhammadu Buhari reintroducing the old 200 notes into the economy, while the old 500 and 1,000 naira ceased to be legal tender. In this report, residents of Lagos State speak on the impact of the naira scarcity on the economy and other sundry issues. The report.
The scarcity of the new Naira notes and the phasing out of the old notes have led to anger and frustration among Nigerians. While recognizing these difficulties, President Muhammadu Buhari in a national broadcast urged Nigerians to remain calm and ordered the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) to reintroduce the old 200 Naira into the economy. Lagosians who spoke with Trust TV have been bearing their minds on the reintroduction of the old 200 Naira as directed by President Buhari.
It's affecting my business so bad, which customers, to get customers, look at everywhere, look at market is so scarce. Nobody, no customers is not coming because of the money. We didn't even see the Naira to spend or to buy something. If you see, we can say, okay, we'll use it to buy, but we didn't even see. But even the one we have at hand now, is invalid. It's not. They are not collecting it from us.
Since where this naira start, no market. People don't want to spend small money to buy banana. I'm telling banana, orange, udara, agbalumo. But since that time, since where this thing happen, nobody want to spend money to buy any market like that. That banana 500 naira, they go price am 200. But I don't want to make my banana spoil. I will manage to sell it. But since that time, I can't have money to do another business. But today, I dey tell my own customer say I don't want 500 naira. I don't want to collect 1,000. Nobody want to buy market. Nobody get new note for hand. And since money now, I don't even say single 1,000 naira market.
Lagosians are of the view that the hardship experienced by the scarcity of the new naira notes can be adequately addressed if the CBN ensures full circulation of both the old 200 naira, the new notes, as well as other bank notes previously in existence.
Now to political matters. People's Democratic Party's presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar said Nigerians are witnesses to the myriad of problems as a result of the cluelessness of the APC, which came into government with no idea of a policy direction. Atiku said the current crisis, which is a fallout of the policy of the ruling party's redesign of the naira, is only the tipping point. Atiku, in a statement he personally signed, said that the ruling APC should take responsibility for its own policy and the challenges that have followed its implementation, noting that the nation has witnessed upheavals in different parts of the country in which lives were lost and properties destroyed. He said the APC deceived Nigerians into believing that the crisis was created by others. A pregnant woman in Kano, Shemau Sani Labaran, has died at the Abdullahi Wase Teaching Hospital over alleged negligence from doctors. The late woman's husband, Bello Fancy, said doctors did not attend to his wife for more than 3 hours due to the delay in the cash transfer, a situation that led to her death. Fancy said that he took his wife to the hospital when she was about to deliver, but the hospital rejected his old naira notes and asked him to deposit the money in their account. He said although he transferred the money and got debited, the doctors on duty didn't touch his wife as they said they must see the alert in their account, which took almost 3 hours. However, the chief medical director of the hospital, Rahila Garba, denied the allegation, saying that the claim was not the true representation of the incident. But other patients in the hospital confirmed the incident, saying that they too encountered problems with payment of hospital bills, which led to delayed services. Visually impaired persons in Kaduna State have appealed to the Independent National Electoral Commission to ensure that their members are properly guided on how to cast their vote using the Braille ballot during the 2023 election. They made the call at a sensitization meeting on the use of the Braille ballot organized by INEC in Kaduna ahead of the poll. The report.
The meeting is to sensitize visually impaired on how to cast their vote during an election to ensure that they are not disenfranchised. The participants, while commending INEC for providing them with Braille ballot guide, said they can now exercise their civic rights like any other citizen during the election.
One of the things I learned is the provision of this Braille ballot paper. And this gives room for the visually impaired person to go and exercise his franchise without being fear of somebody choosing for him not the right person he wanted to choose.
Yes. I think I will cast my vote alone, because even in the last election, my vote was tampered with because the person that helped me to cast the vote does not know how to read. So he went and put my hand in the wrong place.
They call on INEC to ensure the availability of the Braille ballot guide during the poll.
They should make sure that the Braille ballot papers are adequately provided in all polling units in Nigeria. And they should make sure that any visually impaired person, they either form their own queue, or if it's only one, as soon as he arrived, he should just go and cast his vote and leave.
What I want INEC to address is INEC should also involve visually impaired persons in the election process, because with us there, we can be able to help our fellow visually impaired men, maybe visually impaired people who cannot read the Braille or who have not even seen it before.
Besides visually impaired persons, there are provisions for other people with special need, according to the Commission.
For those that are on the wheelchair, they are going to be assisted round, and for those that are visually impaired, they are going to be assisted round. And there's this magnifying glasses, we have the magnifying glasses for people with albinism. You know, when they are out there in the sun, they have a blurry vision. So with that magnifying glass, they will be able to see well.
In less than 2 weeks now, the visually impaired, other people with special needs, and the eligible voters across the country will decide the next set of leaders for the country via the ballot box. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
The Inspector General of Police, Usman Al-Khali Baba, has announced that 310,973 police personnel comprising conventional policemen, mobile police, special counter-terrorism unit, special forces, intelligence response team, and other sections of the police will be deployed to ensure a smooth conduct of the elections. The IGP, who disclosed this during the weekly ministerial briefing at the State House, added that 93,495 personnel from other security agencies will complement the police personnel for the polls, listing threats against the conduct of the elections to include fuel scarcity and cash squeeze. The police chief expressed the belief that the situation will be stabilized before the commencement of the upcoming exercise. According to him, the police have upscaled their activities to tackle other existing crimes and threats to disrupt the 2023 elections, like terrorism and banditry, secessionist campaign by IPOB, cybercrimes, and what he calls growing and misguided activities of the Oduduwa Nation agitators, who are also attempting to destabilize the process. The IGP equally asserted that an intelligence unit is in place to track and apprehend those who will engage in vote buying. You're watching the News Hour on Trust Television. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at early childhood care development. Details of this and more after the break.
At last, the elections are here. Let's turn out en masse on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as President of Nigeria for a renewed hope and a better Nigeria. Vote APC, the party that shows a broom.
Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130...
Created a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secure are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Or really, if you look at England squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
Welcome back. This is the News Hour on Trust Television. Let's take a look at some of the main stories again. Reactions trail presidential broadcast on Naira circulation extension. Independent National Electoral Commission sensitizes visually impaired on Braille ballot voting. Now, ahead of the 2023 general elections, 13 governorship candidates on Wednesday signed a peace accord in Gombe State. 14 governorship candidates, including the incumbent Governor Inuwa Yahaya of the APC, are contesting the March 2023 governorship election in the state. Governorship candidate of the main opposition People's Democratic Party, Muhammad Barade, was absent when the 13 candidates signed the peace accord. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
The resident electoral commissioner in Gombe State, who urged candidates to focus on issue-based campaign, pointed out that the commission is committed to conduct a peaceful, free and fair election in the state.
The conduct of credible elections is our collective responsibility, and our actions or inactions can either make or mar the exercise. To this end, I call on you today to make a consensuous effort at ensuring that the peace we have enjoyed in this state is sustained over the election period and beyond.
Governorship candidates of political parties, including the incumbent Governor Inuwa Yahaya of the APC, signed the peace accord, although some candidates expressed mixed feelings on the readiness of INEC and security agencies in the state to deliver an acceptable exercise.
As a governor and the chief security officer and a contestant, you see, elections itself will not hold in an atmosphere of rancor and skirmishes. And we are after peace and security. Nothing will go until there is peace and there is security in the country.
There are so many things that are happening. Some of these things that we sign are already violated, and we don't have a voice to say it out. And you see another party, they keep taking it away from, challenging our supporters and all that.
It's left for INEC to oversee that this peace accord is being implemented. But for now, I don't know why INEC is pretending that she doesn't know.
However, the People's Democratic Party (PDP) and its governorship candidate Muhammad Barre declined to sign the peace accord in protest over what it termed repeated attacks on its candidate.
All of you are aware of what has been happening to the PDP in terms of attacks on our people. We have reported officially to all the security agencies, especially the lead security agent, the police. No action has been taken. Nothing has been done about it. And that's why you have seen our governor candidate here.
Commissioner of Police Gombe State Command responded to allegations raised by aggrieved political parties in the state.
You see, it is easy to make allegations, and it is not easy to prove. When you make complaints, billboards are attacked. Is the billboard being destroyed? Is it just one party billboard that is being attacked?
The people of Gombe State are positive that with the signing of the peace accord, stakeholders will indeed deliver a peaceful poll in the state. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
With less than 2 weeks to the 2023 general elections, a cross-section of Benue residents are calling on other Nigerians to embrace peace to ensure a smooth exercise. According to them, the polls can only be successful in an atmosphere devoid of rancor and acrimony. Jimmy Azande reports.
The call is coming amid speculations of violence conduct by some Nigerians, especially youths, that may threaten the conduct of the polls.
Elections are engineered or spearheaded by the youth who have received some form of token in terms of appreciation for their consistent support and all that. So I'm particularly talking to the youth. Yes, the women have a lot to do in terms of talking to their children at the grassroots level, but the youth, we have a lot to do in these forthcoming elections. Let's try our best to avoid bloodshed. Let's try our best to avoid violence. The restiveness has always been on the high side. Let's try to avoid that. But go forth with our voters' card to vote for those who are credible to steer the affairs of this country. Knocking by the corner, what do you expect from the society? Absolute peace. For me, I want to enjoy a peaceful election for the very first time in Nigeria, and an election that is bloodshed free.
For them, it is time for Nigeria to get it right. Hence the need for citizens to conduct themselves orderly before, during and after the polls.
So my advice to all Nigerians and our prospective voters is that they should vote in a credible and a very courageous leaders of their choice. They should not be compared by all standard to vote anybody against their wish. We must get it right this time around.
Because we are at a critical point in our country at the moment, so I think that peaceful voting should be accepted by everyone. Go out to the polls, vote who you want to vote, and then peacefully in your communities and your council wards or whichever place that your voter's card is being or you're supposed to be voting.
So I am very serious and honestly appealing to Nigerians that the level of insecurity in Nigeria is so alarming that has to be addressed. And for it to be addressed, Nigeria needs to elect somebody who has the zeal and the courage to address that particular issue.
There has been pessimism in some quarters by some sections of the Nigerian populace towards the 2023 polls due to pockets of violence in the build-up to the polls. However, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has reiterated its stance that the polls will hold despite initial hiccups.
Inefficiency in the implementation of early childhood care development and education in the education sector at national and subnational levels has been identified as a contributor to poor learning outcomes in children's development. Stakeholders at a national dialogue and workshop disclosed this while exploring ways to address the challenges and amplify opportunities for strengthening learning through play. The report.
Learning through play is said to be a vital teaching method which helps children to learn faster, develop social, cognitive and emotional skills. Despite policies guiding early childhood and education, Nigeria still struggles with proper implementation and low budgetary allocation to aid the process. This has become worrisome as United Nations Children's Fund says 35.6% of children aged 36 to 59 months received early childhood education in Nigeria, while 45.7% of children under age 5 learn with 2 or more play tools.
In practical terms, we know children play at home, and many of us are satisfied with that. But we also know that the school environment is an environment that we necessarily want children to be engaged in. We believe in pre-primary education, and then the question is, if we are committed to it, what should be the component? And is play not important? Isn't it a mechanism for learning? Isn't it a mechanism for development? Isn't it a mechanism for psychosocial exploration and creativity?
There are many standards, benchmarks that have been developed, but how far have we been able to implement this?
We have to make sure that we have the professionals that will impact that learning to our children, to make sure that we have a very good foundation for our children as they transit to primary schools.
With challenges like lack of training and qualification in ECE on the part of teachers, inadequate teaching and learning materials, underfunding, inadequate security measures, coupled with parents' misconceptions among others, the Federal Ministry of Education says it has over the years developed strategies to achieve the ECE objective.
In the area of teacher training for play-based learning in Nigeria, the Federal Ministry of Education has supported and encouraged the capacity building of teachers and learning through play-based method by the development of facilitators' guides and participants' manual with specific focus on the Reggio Emilia and other child-centered approaches, improved curriculum, mentoring and support programs.
Stakeholders agree that strengthening capacity of teachers, parents and communities to support learning through play and providing instructional materials, among others, the early child care development and education in the country will be boosted for the benefit and interest of every child. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Medical doctors in Nigeria cited poor remuneration and poor working conditions, especially in public hospitals, as part of reasons medical personnel leave the country in search of greener pastures. The migration of the trained medical doctors to other countries, they said, is impacting negatively on the health sector. Ado Musa reports.
The president of the Nigerian Medical Association, Uche Ronald, at a symposium held last year to discuss the brain drain in Nigeria's health sector and its implications on health service delivery, said at least 5,600 medical doctors have migrated to the United Kingdom in the last 8 years. The NMA president said, although according to World Health Organization, Nigeria requires a mix of 23 doctors, nurses and midwives per 10,000 population to deliver essential health services, only one doctor is available to treat 30,000 patients in some southern states, while in the north, it is one doctor to 45,000 patients. Professor Kenneth Ozoelo, immediate past president of the Medical and Dental Consultants Association of Nigeria, speaks on the causes and effect of shortage of doctors in the country.
The government and its officials fail to recognize or refuse to recognize the enormity of the problem. I'm telling you, if we will only accept and recognize that there is a problem, then we can open up our minds towards trying to find the solution. What are the solutions? It's very easy. There are two things you have to look at. Brain drain occurred in the past. The main reason they're leaving is because of the remuneration. You leave Nigeria today, you get to Saudi Arabia, and in 1 month you earn 10 times the figure you are earning in Nigeria. It's as basic as that.
Professor Ozoelo said, available hands in the sector have been overwhelmed, maintaining that though brain drain remains a global trend, the government needed to establish necessary measures to checkmate the trend.
So we have increased waiting time. Of course, the quality of service is not the same, and this will definitely affect our negative health indices. The maternal mortality is going to increase, the child mortality is going to increase, the under 5 mortality is going to increase, and so on and so forth. So it has a very, very negative impact on the healthcare system.
The doctors call on both the federal and the state government to establish an exit replacement policy to checkmate the trend of brain drain in the sector. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Time now for us to take a quick break. The news continues shortly. Join us again.
Sanin madafin shugabanci na da inganci wajen gina kowace irin ingantacciyar demokaradiyya. Maza 'yan Najeriya ku dunkule ku ture ku zabi Bola Ahmed Tinubu a matsayin shugaban kasa da kuma Kashim Shettima a matsayin mataimakin sa. A karkashin jam'iyyar APC a shekara ta 2023 mutum ne jajirtacce, tabbas yana da tasiri a fagen siyasar Najeriya. A cikin kundin manufofin sa zai inganta tsaro, bangaren noma, fadada hanyoyin tattalin arziki da kuma kasuwanci. Hanyoyin arzikin mu a kuntace suke a sakamakon rashin rarraba wutar lantarki yadda ya kamata. Bola Ahmed Tinubu zai saisaita kudirinsa wajen samar da isasshen wutar lantarki a Najeriya. Idan 'yan Najeriya suka zabe shi, zai gudanar da ayyuka bangarori da dama na ci gaba kamar bangaren sufuri, ilimi da kuma inganta tsaro, kasuwanci da kuma gyara bangaren shari'a. To 'yan Najeriya ba ku da zabi illa zaben Bola Ahmed Tinubu a matsayin shugaban kasar Najeriya na gaba.
Wannan sako ne daga sashen tsare-tsare da sadarwa na kwamitin yakin neman zaben shugaban kasa na jam'iyyar APC.
Let's now take a look at business update as presented by Chiamaka Nwafo.
The Association of Senior Staff of Banks, Insurance and Financial Institutions has revealed that banks have lost a sum of 5 billion naira across the nation following recent attacks and destruction of bank facilities over cash scarcity. The president of the association, Oluwole Olusoji, disclosed this on Thursday at a news conference in Lagos. He said aside from bank buildings burnt and automated teller machines destroyed, bank officials were also affected. Olusoji said 17 bank branches have been attacked so far. Several commercial institutions were destroyed by protesters across the country following the scarcity of Naira notes. Africa's e-commerce group Jumia has slashed 20% of its workforce in a layoff exercise that saw the exit of 900 people from the company. The company disclosed this on Thursday in its Q4 2022 financial results. Following the layoffs, the company said it has streamlined its organizational structure and created leaner, more effective teams that are fully committed to the execution of its strategy. Jumia said it also focused on driving marketing efficiencies, allowing it to significantly reduce its sales and advertising expense, which decreased by 41% year-over-year in the fourth quarter of 2022. Jumia's operating loss for Q4 2022 decreased by 41% year-over-year, reaching $49.8 million, and adjusted EBITDA loss decreased by 30% year-over-year, reaching $49.2 million. And finally, in stocks, the Nigerian exchange closed positive amidst buying interest in sellers as bulls dominated proceedings, driving up the broad market. The all-share index ASI appreciated by 0.02% to close at 54,520.2 points. In the same vein, market capitalization increased by 8 billion naira to close at 29.696 trillion naira, while the year-to-date return settled at 5.66%. Market breadth closed positive as Triple G led 17 gainers and 15 losers, topped by Courtville at the end of today's session. An aggregate of 125.9 million units of shares was traded in 2,670 deals valued at 3.6 billion naira. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafo.
The United States government has returned $954,000 stolen by former governor of Bayelsa State, Diepere Alamesia, to the state government through the federal government. U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria, Mary Beth Leonard, announced the development at a press briefing on Thursday in Abuja. She said the official salary of the former governor during his tenure as a public servant from 1999 to his impeachment in 2005 did not match the said amount. President Buhari has immediately directed that the said sum be utilized in developing the health care of Bayelsa State. And away from Nigeria, the death toll from earthquakes that jolted Turkey and Syria on February 6 has risen to 42,000. According to Turkish authorities, 36,187 people have died from the earthquakes in the country. The death toll in Syria rose to 5,800, according to UN officials, the Syrian government. Now, the Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu said that close to 8,000 rescue and aid workers from 74 countries were still assisting Turkish teams in their efforts. A 17-year-old girl was rescued Thursday morning, 248 hours after the original quake, from the debris of a collapsed building in a city located near the epicenter, Turkey's state-run Anadolu track.
I'm here to give up my life to save another. I have been here since the fourth day. I'm so happy we rescued her. It was fate.
It's been a 10-day process here. She was responding to us, talking to us, explaining her situation. We've been working day and night. We are very tired, but very grateful to have been able to get her out.
Time to take a look at sports updates presented by Adeni Ajishafe.
The Super Eagles will take on the White Dogs of Guinea-Bissau on Day 3 match of 2023 Africa Cup of Nations qualification series at Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, on March 24. The Federal de Football de Guinea-Bissau is yet to pick a date for the second leg, which could be either 27th or 28th of March in Morocco city of Marrakesh, as Guinea-Bissau does not have a CAF-approved playing turf in the country of slightly over 2 million people. On the first day of the qualifying series, the Super Eagles fought back from a ferocious start to the game, and an 11th-minute goal by Jonathan Mosse to defeat the Leon Stars of Sierra Leone 2 in Abuja after Alex Iwobi and Victor Osimhen hit at the visitors. On day 2, away in the Moroccan city of Agadir in the second competitive match for Jose Peseiro, the Eagles set a new international win record, defeating Sao Tome and Principe 10-0 with 4 of the goals from Victor Osimhen. 2 from Terem Murphy, while Moses Simon, Ogenikaro Etebo, Ademola Lookman, and Emmanuel Dennis to complete the win. Victory in both matches against the White Dogs will certainly pave the Eagles' path to Cote d'Ivoire 2023. And still in football, the Super Falcons of Nigeria on Thursday lost 1-0 to Mexico in the first game at the 2023 Revelations Cup. The Falcons have now lost 6 straight games, with their last win coming against Cameroon in the quarter-final of 2022 Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. Kiana Palacio scored the only goal of the game for host Mexico in the 85th minute. The Falcons will hope to bounce back from the defeat when they face Colombia in their second game on Saturday, 18 February. The first game of the Four Nations Tournament saw Costa Rica and Colombia playing 1-0 draw. The Revelations Cup serves as preparation for the Falcons ahead of 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. They are drawn in the same group with Australia, Canada, and World Cup debutant Republic of Ireland. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
And that wraps up the news hour for tonight. You can watch more via all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ilia. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.